Greetings everyone. Well, it's mostly DVD and Blu-ray update again today. Yeah, I picked up a whole bunch of British comedies, quite a few that I've had my eye on for a while, and some that I'd heard about but needed to do a little bit of research so I knew which ones to get first. It'll make sense in a minute. So British comedy, because I like to laugh. And Lord knows we could all use a laugh these days. Today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Well, first off, kind of a big one. This is a character that most of my British viewers will be intimately familiar with, but I don't know that he's really kind of broken out on this side of the pond. So allow me to introduce you. A number of years back, Steve Coogan created a character by the name of Alan Partridge, originally as a character on a radio show called The Day Today, which was basically a parody of news programs and so forth. And it was done by, what was his name? Christopher Morris. Christopher Morris, who you may know from the IT Crowd. He was Mr. Reinholm, the first president of the company that it takes place in. Well, long before the IT Crowd, he did The Day Today. And the radio show was quite successful, so they did a TV miniseries version as well. I think this only ran one series, but this is the DVD collection and is basically the first televised appearance of the character of Alan Partridge. So, who is Alan Partridge and what's the big deal? Well, Alan Partridge is essentially a fictional talk show, television host type character created by Steve Coogan. And he's one of those insufferable characters, often says wildly inappropriate things, tries to make a show of a particular type, and it inevitably turns into a disaster every time. And over the course of all of the appearances of this character, which has not just been in the form of TV shows, but also guest appearances in character as Alan Partridge on talk shows and so forth, news shows, etc., and numerous television series over the years. Well, the interesting thing about it is all of these disparate appearances actually have continuity to them. So, unlike, say, other famous insufferable characters that everybody loves, like, Basil Fawlty or Arnold Judas Rimmer from Red Dwarf, or, Richard and Eddie Hitler from Bottom. Well, actually, Bottom is kind of a good example because they did the TV series. They also did a bunch of live shows. But in the case of Alan Partridge, he's just sort of permeated all these different types of media over the past 30 or so years. And there's an actual continuity to them. It's essentially you're getting the life story of this fictional television host and his attempts to be a star, essentially, and just failing again and again and again. And he's both, at the same time, incredibly unlikable and offensive a lot of the time, but there's also a sympathy there because you kind of feel bad for the guy because he just keeps trying so hard and failing dismally every time. Anyway, we'll get into more about the life of Alan Partridge in a minute, but I give you that background because this was the first televised appearance of the character. So, The Day Today stars Peter Bainham, Steve Coogan, Rebecca Front, Armando Ianucci, another IT Crowd connection there, Dune Makichan, Patrick Marber, Christopher Morris, and David Schneider. So this is quite a lovely collection that they've put out with, got like this big fold-out wraparound cover. Look at that. Very nice. I kind of miss these, like, gatefold packages. We don't really seem to get them very much anymore. And here we go. So 2 discs. I'm pretty sure it was only one series, one 6-episode series. Maybe it was it 2? I don't know. I haven't watched this one yet. But Yeah, so if we look underneath the discs here, we do get a little bit. Fact into doubt won't go. There you go. So essentially this is a parody of the nightly news, and apparently it's hilarious. But I haven't actually sat down and watched it yet. So this will probably be next on my list, because, well, I may have got some other Alan Partridge stuff that I watched first. Not the least of which was this beast of a set. Alan Partridge, the complete BBC collection. I don't know how accurate that is now, because there's been several other Alan Partridge-centric shows. But this has 2 shows that chronologically occur after the day today. So, first off, we have the absolutely wonderful Knowing Me, Knowing You, which was his parody of late-night talk shows. And this applies to late-night talk shows on either side of the pond, because let's face it, most of them follow essentially the same format. So this is Alan Partridge's attempt to do a late-night talk show, and needless to say, it's an absolute disaster every single episode. Starts off quite you know, with the monologue and awkward banter with the band leader, and gets into just the most awkward and inappropriate interviews with the guests, and tends to just end in absolute disaster. So this was a single series of 6 half-hour episodes, and then they did an hour-long Christmas special called Knowing Me, Knowing Yule. Anyway, this is what most people consider to be the real start of the Alan Partridge legacy, because almost everything since has referred back to this. So after Knowing Me, Knowing You, we had probably the most famous iteration next to that, I'm Alan Partridge, which is essentially a sitcom giving us just the day-to-day life of Alan Partridge. He's trying to get a second series of this, so there's a lot of references to Knowing Me, Knowing You. And the BBC execs are just like, yeah, no, you're not getting a second series. But he doesn't stop trying. And so it's basically 6 more episodes, this time in more of a sitcom format. And this is like easily one of the funniest shows I have ever seen. It's just like, you have to take a break between episodes, because you're laughing so much that, you know, and same with Knowing Me, Knowing You. Both of them are hilarious. So, I'm Alan Partridge had 2 series, 6 episodes apiece, and loads of extras on both of these. There's actually commentary tracks with Steve Coogan in character as Alan Partridge, talking about the events of the series. And the idea, if you're to take it all as canon, is this was him doing a dramatized version of events from his life, and he talks about, as Alan, in the commentary, about how all the various things they got wrong. It's like, oh, they didn't really do that right. It makes me look like, you know, a complete tit, and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, this is a great place to start if you're not familiar with the character. Just get this box set. It is Region B locked, of course, or Region 2, because it's a British set, but absolutely wonderful. So much fun. Then after that, he kind of retired the character for a little while, brought him back in some live shows, and then came back with a web series called Mid-Morning Matters, and that was kind of a parody of like radio talk shows. Oh, and actually, while he's trying to get a series, he has his own radio talk show. It's like a phone-in show, and that's also quite hilarious. But and awkward banter with the other hosts and so forth. Like, it's just, everything is so delightfully awkward in it. In fact, I think Alan Partridge, the character and whatnot, is credited with kind of starting that style of humor. Like, we see a lot of that kind of awkward humor nowadays. It's quite common. But when Alan Partridge came out, it wasn't really done before that. So a lot of that is credited to Steve Coogan. So after Mid-Morning Matters, they did a TV series of it as well. The idea was they wanted to kind of refresh the character a bit, revisit the character, and reintroduce the character to people who may not have been familiar with the previous appearances, because they really wanted to do an Alan Partridge movie. This is the one and only Blu-ray in today's update. So we have Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa. And if you watch this, after watching the others, you will pick up on so many little references back to it. As I say, we're literally getting the life story of this fictional character across all these different forms of media and all these different shows. And this is just absolutely hilarious. And again, if nothing else, at least watch the movie, because the movie is fantastic. And there's a little insert here where you can actually get the script. And what is this? There's a an ad for Roberts Radio, I guess. I don't know. That might be a reference to the movie. It's been a little bit since I watched this, but so there you go. So once again, nice 2-disc edition. They do not skimp on the extras on these sets as well. So if you've only ever seen the shows on television and enjoyed them, you owe it to yourself to pick up these DVDs and the Blu-ray, because you get so much more Alan in them. But so that's all I have currently for the Alan Partridge saga. But I am absolutely loving the journey. So you'll definitely be seeing some more Alan Partridge stuff in future updates. And I'll try to keep you apprised of what order they all go in, because it can get a little confusing. There's quite a few. So they did Mid-Morning Matters, and then I think the most recent one he did was like Alan Partridge did like a self-help series, which is a laugh in and of itself, because he can barely manage his own life, and he's going to give you advice about life. So definitely looking forward to checking that one out. So that's it for Alan Partridge, but not it for the comedy. Next up we have, well, I guess since I mentioned Mr. Christopher Morris and Armando Iannucci, we got the IT Crowd. Now, having worked in tech support, oh my God, was this ever a show made for someone like me. Absolutely loved it. I watched about the first half of it on Netflix a while back, and I was like, yeah, I got to get the DVD set of this. I need to own this show. So, there we go. So I finally picked it up and sat down, rewatched everything, and watched everything I hadn't seen yet. And what a great show. What a great show. And sorry, Armando Iannucci is actually the guy who does the Alan Partridge stuff with Steve Coogan. I got them mixed up. It's Graham Linehan. Graham Linehan did the IT Crowd. So I know. Sorry, it took a while to traverse time and space. I could hear you all yelling at the screen, but you know, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, right? So this one we've got. Well, hold on a second. We actually have a pamphlet for stuff. We'll look at that in a moment. So here we got all the contents listed on the inside of the case, which is fine. So several series, 3 series, yeah, 3 series, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 episodes per series, I think. No, 4 series, 5 or 6, no, 6 episodes per series, and then they did a special called "The Internet Is Coming," which is great. But I love the IT Crowd so much. It's just endlessly funny to me. This is my introduction to, was it Chris O'Dowd? And, yeah, Chris O'Dowd and Richard Ayoade. Richard Ayoade is just a comic genius. I absolutely love his stuff. Oh, and Matt Berry is in this as well. Gotta love Matt Berry. And there you go. Very nice. So just a very nice compact set. I was a little disappointed that they forced it to be 25 frames per second progressive, whereas it was filmed on video. I much prefer shows that were filmed on video to retain that video look, you know, because it's true to the original presentation, but that's okay, minor complaint. And then here we have, I think we've seen this exact insert before. We have an insert for, is it Old Gold Media? Is that the company? Yeah, Old Gold Media. Got a whole bunch of stuff here. You probably recognize a lot of those shows. Actually, it might be Fabulous. Is it Fabulous Films? See, like The Incredible Hulk, Quantum Leap, Rockford Files, Columbo, Buck Rogers. Yeah, you guys over in the UK got so many of these shows on Blu-ray before we got them over here. But that's why a lot of folks were importing them. But, yeah, we got Count Duckula and Danger Mouse, Wurzel Gummidge. Love Wurzel Gummidge. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of these shows I either have or want. Erie, Indiana, Starfleet. Yeah, I think I actually have that set of Starfleet. It was sent to me by a viewer a while back. Great show if you like Thunderbirds and stuff. It's another one of those marionette shows. And then last, but most certainly not least, this is a show I first saw on the late night British comedy block on YTV back when I lived in Selkirk. Those of you who watch my retro series will know all about Selkirk. I just found out today, actually, that my building manager was born in Selkirk. I was like, what? Like, talk about a small world. That's so hilarious to me. But, so she really liked watching my old retro videos, like seeing her old stomping grounds. So that was kind of funny. Anyway, I first saw this show when it aired on YTV. They had a block, even though it was primarily, YTV youth television. It was primarily cartoons and kid-friendly stuff. But, they started showing some British comedies. In fact, that's where I first discovered Red Dwarf. But they showed Red Dwarf in highly censored form. But I guess it was successful enough that they started looking into other possible British comedies they could show, and just put them in a later slot. Like in the UK, this would be called the post-watershed slot of after 9 p.m. I don't know what watershed means. Anyway, is that when you turn off the water or something at 9 p.m.? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where the term originates, but it generally means anything after 9 p.m. Or after 9 p.m. anything goes. So YTV adopted the same kind of idea. So after 9 p.m. they would start showing these British comedies, but when they did that, they started showing them uncut. They never actually went back and showed Red Dwarf uncut. It wasn't until I bought the VHS tapes that I finally saw it in its original form. We've talked about that at other times. But, so, this was one of the shows that was in that block, and I've wanted to see all of it for so long because I just caught a handful of episodes when it was on, and every single time I just died laughing. We have the classic 9-series complete set starring Gorden Kaye. Allo Allo. Yeah. So this one is basically about a fellow who runs a like a bar in World War II, and the bar doubles as like a sort of secret meeting place for the French resistance. And hilarity ensues because there's a lot of Nazis who frequent this bar as well. But so it's all about them kind of, helping out with the revolution behind the scenes while dealing with all the craziness at with the various colorful patrons and so forth. So not much to look at inside, just a whole pile of discs, and it is stacked 2 per spindle, which I do not like at all. But hey, at least we've got all 84 episodes of the series, right? So we can enjoy the entire saga of, Viva la Revolution at the bar. So yeah, the Café Rene. Says, at the heart of the picturesque town of Nouvion in occupied France is a hotbed of wartime intrigue. Look around and you'll see the resistance, the communists, the German army, the Gestapo, the Royal Air Force, and one officer, Crabtree, sent from British intelligence headquarters, all in various disguises. But just where is the painting of the fallen Madonna with the big boobies by Van Clomp? There's only one way to find out. I'm guessing that's references to very specific episodes. But, yeah, I remember in particular seeing the very first episode of this, and that was enough to pique my interest, because it was laugh out loud funny. So this is an all-time great of British comedy, and, who doesn't love comedy that makes fun of Nazis, right? Yeah, I was born and bred on Hogan's Heroes, so what can I say? I know nothing. I saw nothing. Anyway, nice stack of British comedy for whenever I'm feeling like a larf. Alrighty, folks, well, that is it from me to you for now. Hope you enjoyed. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Aha! Aha! Actually, wait, before we go, I completely forgot to mention, if you want a good sort of parallel for the kind of thing that Alan Partridge is, Garth Marenghi. If you've ever seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, Matt Holness's character. That's a good example of something similar to Alan Partridge, kind of spreading through various forms of media. So with Garth Marenghi, he's appeared on talk shows and so forth in character as Garth. There was, of course, Dark Place, the series, which was absolutely brilliant. He's on Man to Man with Dean Lerner, which is actually part of the Dark Place universe and the Garth Marenghi universe. Richard Ayoade playing his publisher and producer in his attempt to do a talk show, which of course is disastrous. But in that one, Garth Marenghi is in one episode, and then Matt Holness plays all the other guests in the other episodes as well, so it really kind of shows his range as a comedic actor. But then there's also books. There's books written by Garth Marenghi, and Matt Holness has done audiobooks of them in character, reading the books. Same with Alan Partridge, except that with Alan Partridge, it's actually biographical books that Alan has written, and Alan does the audiobook versions. So, yeah, so if you like that kind of thing, just a multimedia extravaganza characters comedy, check out Alan Partridge. And now we're definitely going. So until next time, thanks for watching again, and sayonara again, and aha again.